High across the country over immigration raids and National Guard deployments. The courts are now getting involved as residents fight back. ABC's Jacqueline Lee has the latest from Los Angeles.
At 6:11 a.m., federal officials stepped behind sealed doors in Washington and confirmed what had been whispered for years. This was not a breach. This was not a failure. This was infiltration. At exactly 2:47 a.m. Eastern Time, in Miami, Florida, federal strike teams executed the largest coordinated customs-linked takedown operation in U.S. history. The numbers alone were staggering: $218 million in narcotics assets, 1,890 arrests across 3 states, 17 ports, terminals, and bonded warehouses shut down in under 6 hours. And at the center of it all, the unthinkable: the director of Miami Customs Operations, a man trusted to protect America's borders, had quietly turned them into a pipeline. Tonight, we're not just showing you what happened. We're showing you how deep it went. And why what comes next is worse. At 4:32 a.m., the streets of Port Miami were silent. No traffic, no tourists, only the low hum of container cranes frozen midair. A light coastal fog drifted across the docks, swallowing floodlights and blurring the outlines of stacked shipping containers, thousands of steel boxes hiding more than cargo. That's when the first convoy rolled in. Unmarked SUVs, black armored vans. No sirens. Federal teams moved fast and quiet. FBI tactical units secured perimeter access points. DEA strike squads split into dock-level and crane-level teams. ICE Homeland Security investigations sealed customs offices from the inside out. SWAT elements staged at terminal choke points. This wasn't a raid. It was a shutdown. Simultaneously, across the city, doors were breached. A bonded warehouse near Flagami, a freight forwarding office in Doral, a seafood import company operating after hours, 2 logistics consultants with offices overlooking Biscayne Bay. Flashbangs lit up hallways. Steel doors buckled inward. Agents moved like shadows between rows of crates and pallets. Inside the first warehouse, they found the cover: frozen shrimp, industrial machinery, ceramic tiles. Inside the containers behind them, the truth: hydraulic presses hidden beneath insulation panels, vacuum-sealed fentanyl bricks stamped with fictional cartel symbols, methamphetamine packed inside machine casings, designer pills layered beneath food-grade packaging. One container alone held 2.4 tons of narcotics. Another held nothing at all except servers. Black, air-gapped racks bolted to the container floor. No markings. No serial numbers. Encrypted beyond commercial standards. That's when agents realized something was wrong. These weren't smuggler tools. They were infrastructure. By 5:09 a.m., arrests were already underway. Mid-level brokers, port supervisors, freight auditors, customs license. Men who didn't run because they didn't think they had to. In a luxury condominium 20 blocks away, federal agents breached a penthouse registered under a Shell real estate trust. Inside, duffel bags lined the marble floor. Cash, gold bars, hard drives labeled only with dates. One agent opened a sealed metal case found behind a false wall. Inside, printed shipping schedules. Not altered, authorized. Stamped approvals tied to customs clearance windows that had allowed cartel shipments to bypass inspections for nearly 4 years. Every signature traced back to one office: the Miami Customs Director's authorization key. By sunrise, the operation expanded. Warehouses in Fort Lauderdale, transshipment hubs in Tampa, private air cargo terminals. Convoys were stopped mid-route. Drivers were pulled from cabs with hands shaking, knowing the protection they'd paid for had vanished overnight. Agents sized: automatic rifles, encrypted radios, satellite phones, ledger books written in coded shorthand. And everywhere, the same symbol: a fictional cartel inspired by transnational syndicates known internally as La Cruz del Sur Network. Not street dealers, not gangs, a corporate cartel. Structured, disciplined, embedded. At 7:41 a.m., inside a federal cyber forensics lab outside Quantico, analysts powered up the seized servers. The screens stayed black. Then slowly lines appeared. Encryption fell layer by layer. What emerged was not a list. It was a map. A massive digital network diagram filled the wall. Ports, routes, companies, people. The operation had a name: Project Glass Harbor. Shell companies traced through the Caribbean. Nonprofit maritime safety organizations. Fake environmental compliance firms. Restaurant chains used for cash washing. Money moved from Miami to Panama. Panama to Lisbon. Lisbon to Eastern Europe. And back into U.S. infrastructure contracts. Every route timed to customs shift rotations. Every clearance window engineered. Then analysts found the master access node. One authorization cluster overrode all others. Linked directly to shipping lanes, port inspections, secondary screening cancellations, random audit suppression. The credentials belonged to one man, a fictional high-ranking federal customs authority publicly celebrated for modernizing port efficiency. Privately, the architect of a secure cartel corridor. An analyst broke the silence. This isn't corruption. This is command-level collusion. Another added quietly. This isn't negligence. It's engineered treason. The deeper they went, the darker it became. The cartel didn't avoid the system. They were the system. Routes weren't smuggled through cracks. They were approved. Tunnels weren't hidden. They were logged as maintenance projects. Seizures didn't fail. They were redirected. For 4 years, La Cruz del Sur had turned South Florida into a protected narcotics gateway shielded by official clearance, policy language, and bureaucratic silence. And this was only one port, one region, one node. At 8:58 a.m., a red alert flashed across the operations floor. New data had just decrypted. Markers began lighting up beyond Florida, Texas, Arizona, Southern California, dozens of locations, hundreds of assets. The network wasn't regional, it was national, and the next phase was already in motion. At 4:58 a.m., the command center came alive. Not with noise, but with certainty. A wall-sized digital map lit up in deep red, marking targets across the southern United States. Ports, border corridors, desert staging grounds, inland distribution hubs. Each marker pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat counting down. This was no longer an investigation. This was an eradication. A unified federal mission was authorized under sealed orders. More than 3,400 federal agents were mobilized within hours. FBI, tactical units, DEA strike teams, ICE Homeland Security investigations, DHS intelligence coordinators, SWAT elements staged for urban and rural entry, Black Hawk helicopters lifted before sunrise, blades cutting through low clouds, armored convoys rolled out under radio silence, naval patrol assets repositioned along shipping lanes as an intimidation screen. The objective was simple: collapse the network before it could react. At 6:12 a.m., the first wave hit. In the Arizona desert, a super lab hidden beneath a solar farm erupted in chaos as agents breached reinforced access tunnels. Inside, industrial mixers, chemical precursors, and enough synthetic opioid material to supply entire regions for months. In South Texas, border tunnel systems were flooded and sealed as ICE units arrested engineers who had been paid to upgrade drainage infrastructure. In California's Inland Empire, cartel-owned logistics mansions were stormed, luxury on the surface, command centers below. Cash rooms were emptied, weapons caches secured, communication hubs dismantled. Everywhere agents went, the same thing happened. No resistance, no gunfights, because protection had vanished. By noon, senior cartel lieutenants were in custody. By 2 p.m., corrupt corporate executives began talking. By nightfall, the arrests crossed a line no one expected. Public officials, investigators worked through seized servers, patrol logs, internal emails, and clearance records. The picture that emerged was devastating. 147 law enforcement officers across multiple jurisdictions had been compromised. 29 customs supervisors falsified inspections. 11 judges expedited sealed warrants. 6 state-level legislators quietly amended port regulations. They weren't threatened. They were paid. Monthly retainers. Luxury properties. Offshore education trusts. Family members employed by Shell nonprofits. Patrol routes were altered to create convoy windows. Inspection teams were understaffed on purpose. Raid plans were leaked hours before execution. One veteran federal agent stared at the evidence wall and said nothing. Then, quietly removed his badge. "This wasn't a few dirty cops," he said. This was a parallel enforcement system. Arrests followed swiftly. Senior commanders escorted out of headquarters in handcuffs. border supervisors detained mid-shift, investigative planners exposed as cartel schedulers. The betrayal cut deepest among those who had stayed clean. Honest officers, men and women who had lost partners to overdoses and gun violence, watched colleagues fall, not to bullets, but to greed. The badge, once a shield, had been rented out, and now it had to be rebuilt from the ground up. As investigators zoomed out, the scope expanded again. This was not just Florida, or the Southwest. Routes connected agricultural corridors through the Midwest, shipping lanes through Gulf ports, trucking contractors masked as green energy logistics firms, way stations closed during maintenance, manifests altered at midnight, cargo rerouted under emergency exemptions. Tons of narcotics moved weekly, invisible, approved, unstoppable. The final files revealed the endgame: a permanent cartel headquarters embedded within legitimate infrastructure. A shadow governance layer: contracts, compliance, enforcement. A system designed not to evade law enforcement, but to replace it. One analyst summarized it best: the system wasn't infiltrated, it was redesigned. By the end of the operation, the damage was historic. Billions in assets seized. Entire routes collapsed. A cartel network erased in days. But the cost lingered. Communities hollowed by fentanyl. Families destroyed by addiction. Trust fractured between citizens and the institutions meant to protect them. Power, it turned out, doesn't always arrive with violence. Sometimes it arrives quietly. Through signatures, through silence, through ambition left unchecked. And when that happens, the most dangerous weapon isn't a gun. It's authority. This story may be fictional, but the warning is real. Because when systems stop asking questions, and power stops fearing consequences, the damage doesn't come all at once. It arrives shipment by shipment. And by the time it's visible, it's already everywhere.